How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about Lucid, which was up 7.64% on the day. We had a strong day in the market overall. We even saw Tesla that had a monstrous day as well. Of course, this benefited the EV sector. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going over the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Lucid. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $17.90, being up 7.64%. On the low, it tested $17.15, and then on the high, testing $18.68. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 21.69 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 17.293 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 48.93. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day. We're also below the 50-day, and we just finished below the 21-day EMA. It is at 1794, and we close at 1790. So one of the things we want to pay attention to, so we saw a low at $17.15. So it's great to see that we had support at this level. Do know that we have a gap that needs to be filled to the downside, so you don't want to forget about that. But if you're looking for strength for tomorrow, I want to see us make another test to the 50-day moving average. It's right here around 1864, and we saw a high at 1868. And we want to see Lucid being able to break above $19 and of course getting to that psychological area at $20. So again, this would be the best case scenario for this week. If it decides to have a pullback, then I'm going to be expecting it to actually fill in the gap right here in the $16.80 range. And if it decides to break through this level, then we want to see support coming in right at 16 bucks. But overall, in general, it's great to see that Lucid showed a lot of strength today, and we have to take into consideration Tesla did have a strong run up. So we want to see a continuation of this, but if we don't get that continuation, at least you know what it looks like to the downside. Now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for Lucid. Scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So taking a look at the recent filings, we already covered the one for the 17th, which was Oliver Legore Vandelin Investment Group that purchased 600 shares. But we can see for the 21st, I really can't pronounce this, but the word I can get is Skandia Omazichik, in which the shares they have or they purchased was at 3,900. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 36.82%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 2.43 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 250,000, updated just now, and then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 15.17%. And then when we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the 16th, it was at 61.45, and then for the close of the 17th, being at 36.82. So that is a significant difference right there. And then when we take a look at the short interest percentage of the float, it's at 22.55%. So that means Lucid does have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Lucid. So we see on the inflow it's at 74.23 million, and then on the outflow it's at 66.62 million. Taking a look at the large, we had 20.23 million. On the medium, it was 30.11 million, and then on the small, it was at 23.89 million. million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large it was 10.14 million, on the medium it was 29.18 million, and then on the small it was 27.30 million. So overall we had an inflow day. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for June the 21st we had an inflow of 10.1 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you can see that we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. And then for the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had a lot more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 1.30%. So this is a consistent range for Lucid, and if you are an investor, this is what you want to see, especially while we're in volatile markets. And it also did contribute to the fact that we did have a green day, and you could see from the order flow institutions loading up. Now let's go on to the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details. So for my final thoughts for Lucid when it comes to the price action, so we saw a high of $18.69. We also have the 21-day EMA, which is at $17.94. So the great thing is, overall for the day with price action, we were above the 21-day EMA. Of course, we did not close above it, but we also have to understand we had support at $17.15. So going into tomorrow, you want $17 to hold. We also have a gap to the downside around $16.82. So if we end up filling in that gap, then I want to see some bulls wanting to step in if there's really a lot of strength inside of the play. So I want you to pay attention to that. But we can all agree that Lucid needs to get to $19 for this week. If it is unable to do this, that's where I could see it pulling back from the current level, and especially of where it closed today at $17.90. So overall, in general, you want $17 to hold, and if it decides to fill in the gap to the downside, you want those bulls to step in and then push that price up further. If they're unable to do that, then we could see the stock pulling back, trading into the $15 range, then going down to 14. But please keep an eye on the overall market conditions. We also have Jerome Powell that's going to be speaking twice this week, on Wednesday and as well as Thursday, so we know that will have an impact on the market as well. We also can't forget the fact that Tesla had an amazing day overall. So many EV plays were able to experience some sympathy, and I know Lucid was one of them. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we did see some institution that purchased up some shares. Keep in mind, I was unable to pronounce the name of it. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, Lucid does continue to have short squeeze potential. So that's why you want to keep a very close eye on this play, because especially if the market continues to go on its run, it did have quite a red week last week, then we could see Lucid moving up further. And that's why I give you guys those levels. So like I said, by the end of this week, if Lucid can get to at least $19, that is an accomplishment. Possibly $20, which is the psychological area, is even better. But don't be shocked if it pulls back to those levels to the downside, like I stated. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.